All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. And there's my main man, Michael DiStefano, a.k.a. Al's brother, also known as my Partsy. And we got a big one tonight. A big game tonight.
We do.
Battle of the NFC West, Thursday Night Football. We got a Leaf game on TSN. What an afternoon we're about to have.
Thoughts on last night, what you saw from the blue and white going into the first back? It's so weird to start the season and have a back-to-back right off the hop.
Yeah.
But they got it. They're into New Jersey. Thoughts on the first eyes on the new Leafs?
Well, I thought they played pretty well last night. You know, snake-bitten. Montembeault played very, very well. They hit posts. They hit crossbars. The deserve to win a meter. You had access to that earlier, right, Al's brother?
Yeah.
It was.
You curious though what the deserve to win a meter was for the Maple Leafs last night?
80%.
I'll get 67%, which is a greasy number.
It is.
That's a troll job for
gross.
Leaf fans, and that's on purpose. And I don't believe that for a second.
By the way, we do not endorse this messaging right here. The deserve to win o-meter.
They did deserve to win the game, though. They were the better team. We do gotta at least admit that. They didn't play terrible last night.
No, I thought they played pretty well, and I thought Stolarz
I
was
don't
really
think
good.
in pro sports you can use the term "you deserve to win."
Of course not. Of course not.
Sure.
It's totally irrelevant.
Right.
I mean, we're being sarcastic.
I like what the coach said. They did some good things. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
got to find a way to bear down in front of the net.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
find a way
the
to
power
score a
play
goal.
was horrendous last night.
Yeah.
And that, they're always a top 10 power play. They have tons of talent. What I found interesting was more about the way Berube was executing his game plan and the way he was rolling over four lines, rolling over both power plays. Like PP1 was not out there for a minute 45. The other guys go out there for 15 and get off. Like he was executing kind of a quick trigger in terms of line changes, in terms of using different people on both special teams, including on the penalty kill where Matthews and Marner were killing penalties at times.
I wonder how much of it though was the fact that first unit wasn't doing anything. So it's like, let's see if the second unit could do something.
Good luck with that, though. Like, it's night one, and you have to believe that Matthews and Marner and Nylander are going to break out for you at some point in the power play. It's one game.
Yes.
I think it has more to do with the fact that they play again tonight and then play on Saturday. You play 3 games in 4 nights. You've got to ease into it a little bit. But I do think Berube is going to do that. Like I think there will be moments in games where Matthews and Marner play their 24 minutes, 25 minutes. But that happened a lot with Keefe. Like that was maybe the biggest change from Babcock to Keefe. Was Babcock was a big proponent of 4 lines. Don't run your stars into the ground. Remember his last game, or one of his last games in Boston, Game 7, there was that discussion, like, why is Matthews only playing 18 minutes? Or why is Tavares only playing 16 minutes? Why didn't you run them into the ground? And that just was the way Babcock operated, and he had a belief in that system. And I think Berube is going to be closer to that. I don't think you're going to see games against bad teams. There'd be times where those guys would play 27 minutes against Columbus in a 6-5 game. And that was just the way Keefe was, because he wanted them on the ice. And I understand why. And maybe they wanted to be on the ice. But
I think it was a two-way street. They told him he wanted to be on the ice, and he put them on the ice.
Right. And I wonder if Berube is going to change that. It's one game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he... In fact, I know he's got a different philosophy, and that's what worked for him in St. Louis. Like, they were a 4-line team, get everyone involved.
You got to have 4 lines to roll, though. And last night, I thought the 4th line looked pretty good. Although when your 4th line's your best line, it's not usually the best thing. But I thought they looked good. Like, it's a line that he could feel comfortable playing. There was times last year where they had Camp, Reeves, and whoever else out there, and it was like, I don't trust these guys. Sheldon Keefe didn't trust them.
Yeah,
so
Noah
they didn't get
Gregor,
played. Noah Gregor was in there at times. Like, Nick Robertson spent some time there. Whoever it was, there just wasn't a big trust factor. Sounds like Berube trusts these guys. And last night, I think they had, brace yourself, 99.1% expected goal rating for that 4th line last night.
Al's brother with his tremendous information. Now with the Leafs.
I didn't know the tremendous information was going to bleed into other sports.
I thought that just stuck to football games and making picks and gambling, but Al's brother's bringing
numbers all over the place
right off the bat with the Leafs.
As far as the power play goes, and it's hashtag only one game, but we've seen it enough where that unit has been together for so long.
Yeah.
And I think the penalty killing strategic approach against them, it's like been rehearsed for so many years. I think they have to find a way to create almost like just some urgency and the way I would create urgency is the shot mentality from the point. And I don't know if they got to put Ekman-Larsson out there and just tee off on bombs from the point and create havoc. And that almost creates an urgency because they get possession and it's almost like I went through the tape and it was like they were looking for a play and it's that play's not available and everything was kind of, oh my God, my teeth just came out.
Dude, I thought that was a piece of gum, man. Lieutenant Dan. Keep going, you're good.
They can't find a play, and it's just like pass it to the outside.
Do you want me to take it for you here?
Go ahead. I got to get my teeth.
Go get your giblets figured out. Drew Doughty joins us in studio. You're on TV tonight, man. You got a panel. Are you going to be all right?
I know. I have to find them and stick them back in.
So they're somewhere on the floor. Do you know how disgusting this floor is?
Oh,
dude?
my
This is COVID-24 is about to start.
This is worse than Doogie's phone.
That's debatable. Doogie dropping his phone in a urinal at the airport in Montreal is still the most disgusting thing that's ever happened.
But at least he was able
to
clean it. He's going to shove those into his mouth. There's no cleanage.
Do you want to give those a wash, or are you going right back in?
NHL ready to rock.
I love this, man. This is patient zero, man. If we go into a pandemic again.
Anyway, we are back in action.
Okay, you're the wet market. So you're the new wet market. You're Jibs.
And the second thing is,
go ahead.
When they're all going out there together, don't be shy to maybe just pull one guy off. If there's 3 power plays and they all don't work and they all kind of look the same, I hate when that turns into 5, 6, and 7, where it's like that's not going to change tonight.
Yeah. Well, and you're right about Ekman-Larsson's ability to do that. Paul Maurice did that with the Panthers come playoff time. Like it was generally Montour was going to be the guy, and he said, "Screw it, man! I need this guy from the point, creating chaos." And what these guys do really well, Matthews in particular, is he creates off chaos. And he almost did it with 2 seconds to go last night.
Yeah.
Like he read the play beautifully. Great feed by Pacioretty, but he's got a nose for that. And you're right. You throw pucks on net and guys are flying around and assignments get thrown out. That's when he sneaks outside and boom, you got a back door and it's in. And they're not
when there's chaos after
night.
A shot, it's like that's when an open man comes open.
Exactly.
Because people are scrambling. They turn their back. They focus on the puck. And then there can be a bang-bang play.
Right.
When you're just perimeter passing and it's like, where's our play? Where's our play? And then sometimes it's almost like the penalty kill scheme is like, just have a controlled box and don't let them get crazy. Don't let them make a seam pass, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what teams have done. And it's one night. They're not going to make a drastic change going into tonight. But I thought of that last night with 2 seconds to go, where Matthews, he's got it on his stick, and he hit the middle of his chest. Like Montembeault didn't even have to move. But that goes in last year. And I thought of it last night in terms of projecting what he's going to do this year. And he's going to score a boatload of goals. I think he's going to win the Rocket. But leading up to this, the NHL was promoting, and the Leafs were promoting, and everyone was buying in, and it's an exciting topic. Going for 70. It's just so difficult to have back-to-back years where everything goes in.
Yeah.
Where last year he did that so many times where you're like, Matthews is going to score here. They got a minute and a half, net pull, they've got possession, it's going to get on his stick, and it's going in.
Happened in game 1 last year.
It happened in game 1 last
Montreal.
year. It happened, I remember being in the building against Boston on a Saturday night, late in the game, 6-on-5, puck comes to him, boom, it's in.
Yeah.
They go to overtime. And last night, you couldn't ask for a better situation. That puck was right on his stick, like 6 feet from the crease.
Yeah.
And he put it right in his chest. And it's very difficult to do it again. And that's not that he's snake bitten or whatever. No. He's not going to score. He had a bunch of opportunities last night. But everything went in last year.
There's 69 of them to go in.
Everything went in. And I found the Habs fans, and you guys maybe enlighten me or educate me on this, why they're booing Pacioretty. Like,
that's pro sports, man. Did you think he was going to go back there and not get booed?
But I don't remember the exit. Was the exit really ugly for him?
He got traded for Suzuki.
Yeah, he got traded.
It was a great deal.
Yeah.
Hey, it turned out pretty well.
Right.
Dude,
that
one
surprised me.
This is what fans do, regardless of the scenario. There was Pacioretty jerseys with Trader on the back with tape. It's like, that's what they do.
And I'm pretty sure it was one of those I want out type of thing, or I want a big contract. I think it was a contractual dispute that, again, if you're a Habs fan, you won. It was amazing.
You got your
for
captain
you. You
out
got
of
Nick
it.
Suzuki, and you got him on the contract that you were going to have to pay Pacioretty.
Yep.
It was an incredible win. And you're right, that is sports ultimately, but they were like adamant every time he was close to the puck, he was getting booed. Like it was a loud crowd, and they were all over Pacioretty.
But it's been
I fully
5
expected
years.
that.
I wasn't expecting the full boo job the whole time.
I think I would I would have expected it, and it probably happened the first time I went back from when he was at Vegas. But like, it's been what, 4 or 5 years since that trade?
Yeah.
5, I think, 6 maybe. Like, it's just been a long time.
Did PK get booed? Did
I don't know.
PK Subban get booed when he went back? Look,
They love PK though. They loved him.
They did, and
But
just
they got
Or it would have
Weber.
been the traditional first time back, it would have been cheers, and then the very second game, you're getting booed.
Okay. I don't recall PK getting booed to that extent. I wonder if it's more about Pacioretty signing with the Leafs. Did that add some fuel to the fire?
Probably.
Like, A, you left. B, you wanted a contract. It got a little dicey. But also, how dare you come back in that uniform?
Yeah. Like last year when he was in Wash, did he get booed? Would he have got booed if they ended up in Montreal?
Exactly.
Maybe not.
I don't remember that. I'm not even sure if he played last year based on the injuries. But, yeah, it was a game that I actually thought it was a pretty electric night, considering it was 1-0 Habs. And Cole Caulfield is a Leaf killer. He's been doing it since he arrived coming out of college in the bubble. He's been scoring goals against the Leafs. And, I thought Chris Tanev looked really good last night, like really smart defensive plays and transitional passes.
I thought Ekman Larson was good.
I thought Ekman Larson was good. And then you turn the page and you go into the game tonight, and Sheldon Keefe and the Devils are waiting for you. And the goaltending answer, we'll get it probably by the end of this hour. I think Craig Berube is going to speak around 4:45. He didn't close the door on Stolarz going back-to-back. And
I don't like that idea, man. I we've seen it a couple times in the last couple of years, but throw the Hildebeest in net. Let him have a game.
I agree.
Are you that desperate / afraid? I don't know. Put him in.
Sheldon Keefe was last year.
Yes.
Like Martin Jones played back-to-back games. Martin Jones played over Dennis Hildeby.
Against Anaheim.
Yes, L.A. Anaheim, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Or San
Against
Jose
Anaheim is really scared.
Right. But Hildeby, I think they like. Like, that's the impression we get from the organization. That's what we've heard through the grapevine. And guess what? You are probably going to need him. Like, I don't know when Joseph Woll is going to play again. I don't know when you can get to a point where you can rely on Joseph Woll. I feel a little bit for Stolarz. I think it would have been a really cool night for him last night. I'm not sure how mentally prepared he was for it. He played great. They didn't lose because of Stolarz.
No.
But he's a guy, I believe, from Jersey or just outside of Newark. I'm sure he had this game circled thinking, I'm going to play at home tonight. Wall's going opening night. I get to play in front of family and friends. And now that's not going to happen more than likely because Joseph Woll goes on IR. Again, I don't think he regrets that. You get to play at the Bell Center Leafs Habs opening night. There's really nothing better than that. But I think they have to play Hildeby because if you immediately say we don't trust this guy, who are you going to trust if Joseph Wall's not going to play?
No, but
like Stolarz can't play 75 games.
No.
Think about his confidence too. Like it's not all roses in the NHL, but like you got to think about the guy. He's got to feel good about his game. And if it's too,
dude, I'm starting to lose faith in you tonight. What happened with the jibs? You just brushed them too hard today? Like, what's going on? Do you need to get a pit stop? Do we need to get a dentist in here? I can get on the Jiffy app. You want me to get on the Jiffy app and get you a dentist in here?
Dude, I'm not kidding.
I can get my wife in here too if you want. Now that's
crazy
troublesome, but you want? I have an answer for you. Doogie's cologne is like 50% glue.
Oh, God.
Doogie will come in, spray your jibs down.
Dude, this show we can get away with. I got to do a panel tonight.
That's what I'm saying. I got Cheryl. Like Cheryl is gonna actually throw up if she sees your teeth fly across the panel tonight. If your teeth fall
I just
on
have
Cheryl
to keep
Pounder,
I just have to keep my points somewhat crispy points.
Do you think you can smile tonight, or are you?
Yeah, look, they look good.
They look great
when
but
they're in
they
there.
keep falling out.
Cheryl is going to have HR waiting for you tonight.
Dude.
I'm concerned because Cheryl Pounder is a woman of integrity, and she doesn't want teeth being spat
I
in
had
her
a
direction.
bridge, and I was using my little green plastic picky thing in my car, and I felt this bridge come loose a little bit.
You're toast, man.
So I just grabbed them and shook them a little bit, and the next thing I know, they're in my hand. I'm like, my whole bridge fell off.
You need a dentist is what you need.
I know. I have to wait until Tuesday.
You've called it in, and Tuesday's the answer?
Yeah.
I can't. Duthie's coming up, so I can't wait to
I'm gonna
ask
see
Duthie
if I
how
can
he's
get
feeling
some help
about
for you.
this.
Do you want me to see if I can get some help for you?
Where am I? Dude, nobody's going to come
The
here.
Jiffy app. I'll get on the Jiffy app. Small jobs and emergencies.
You're not calling the Jiffy app for my jibs. We just have to work through it.
Okay,
We can.
get FanDuel to put a line on how many more times your teeth are going to
It's
fall
not going to
out.
happen again. It's not going to happen again.
The lines,
So-
I have it set at 1.5. What's your tremendous information telling you,
Wow,
Al's brother?
it's happened twice in the last 20 minutes. We still got another 2.5
Do you
hours.
think that's
here.
free money? Would you hammer the
I'm
over?
probably hammering the over on that.
Therefore, stats are losers.
What did he say?
Therefore, stats are losers. Losers are nerds. Nerds are losers. Numbers are nerds. Yeah, I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I'm hammering the over.
I'm going to hammer the over.
Guys,
Sorry,
you're
buddy.
supposed to move past it, not make it a big deal. We're going to get through it.
You're going to have a Twitter account named after your teeth by the end of the show.
Jibs.
O's teeth.
Jibs.
All right, we'll come back and reset. James Duthie's coming up, right? Duthie will be in here. We'll ask Duthie because you got to get some advice from Duthie.
Yeah.
Duthie's seen it all. He's done it all. What a night it was last night. Bell Center. How about the Oilers getting pumped?
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
And I think it was even worse in Vancouver because some of those goals were horrendous on him last night. And Thatcher Demko is not coming back anytime soon. They were up 3-0 so fast. I thought they were going to blow them out 8-0, 8-1.
And a convincing 3-0.
It was like 13-2 in shots.
Yeah.
That building was going crazy.
Well,
And
what
then
did Besser's second goal of the game make it? 4 or 5-1? I shut it off. I'm like,
4-1.
It was
that-
4-1 after the
4-1.
first.
Good night. I'm
Yes,
like, this game's
I thought
over.
the same thing.
I could not believe that score in the morning.
I know.
6-5, and the Zari overtime winner was a beauty.
Nice play.
Like, that was a
Walked them.
beauty
Yeah.
goal. And good for Calgary because they could have packed up their bags and said, screw it, we're out of here. And I think if Sheldon made another stop or two, they would have done just that. But they realized this guy's gettable, and the Canucks are gettable. And that stung last night for Vancouver. It stung in Edmonton. But on the flip side, shout out to Winnipeg, shout out to Calgary, shout out to Montreal. The other three Canadian teams on the right side of wins last night. So we'll continue to look back on that action last night, tee up the game tonight, Leafs Devils. Duthie coming up in studio. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Leafs Devils tonight on TSN Radio. We've got the Thursday nighter tonight. Come on in, Duthie. There he is, JD, making his way in, looking very esteemed, very polished. And we got the Thursday nighter as well, Niners Seahawks, which I'm sure will be a conflicting evening for you, JD.
Way too tall.
Yeah.
I got
JP jammed you on that
one
one.
of the bad chairs.
Every chair in here is a bad chair.
That's true.
Honestly, there's no good chair.
no
in
good
here.
ones.
Like, you can't find a good chair.
Anywhere in media, if there's a bad chair, they say, give it to radio.
That's right. It's down here. That's exactly what happens. Anything you don't want to eat, send it down there. Any bad chair, go on and send it down there.
No, we got plenty of bad chairs in Studio 6.
Yeah?
So, did I miss a teeth spitting out?
Talk to
incident?
your boy. This could be
Live?
this could be a national incident tonight on TSN.
I have all brand new teeth, right? And the front 3 are a bridge.
Okay, so do you pop them out at night, like when you sleep?
No.
Do they pop out often?
Dude, my teeth cost like 50 grand. And I was picking at them with the little plastic thing.
While you were on the air?
No, driving.
Oh,
and
okay.
I felt a little bit like loose, so I just kind of shook them, and then they ended up in my hand, like a whole 3-pack.
But it happened here on the show.
Yeah, he was talking about the
Twice.
game last night.
Yeah, and they
Twice.
flew out of my mouth.
and they flew out and hit the ground, and he popped it
So
back
are they
in.
still loose? Are they loose?
Yeah, they're coming out tonight. Like, I'm just warning you right now. While you're doing the quiz, his teeth are going to fall out.
That might be
I've just
question
got to
number one.
keep it one of those, like, I like to blab, not too bad, but I just got to be
Does it affect your speech? Like, do you get a lisp or whatever with it?
without them.
With them loose?
No.
Like, you're conscious of them right now. Like, when you're speaking, are you trying not to use your tongue?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. So then they're coming out 100%. How do you intend on handling this? See, there's already a Twitter. Jeff O'Teeth has been created online.
That took
Dropping my teeth
5 minutes.
live on TV. Hammer the over 1.5. We placed a total 1.5 more times between now and the end of the show.
Now I think if it happens, we think we staged it for the sake of it going viral, right?
There's nothing I can do. I don't even care.
What percentage of ex-hockey players have like a bridge? A lot, right?
80? Maybe 75?
It's hard to go through without losing them. MJ seems like maybe he made it through.
I don't know. I think he's got fake teeth in there. Johnny's got at least a couple of fake teeth. I think
Noodles?
for sure. Noodles. No,
goalie.
Noodles okay as a goalie though.
Didn't get into it that much.
Like every player we have come in contact with has fake teeth.
Like lots of them.
Yes.
The whole face is fake teeth.
Right. So it's all good, but just prepare for that tonight. It's a big game. It's your first game of the year. Right? It's a big panel night.
The only similarity I can remember, I used to do football back in the day when I started at TSN, and Eric Tillman came in one day, and he'd just been to the dentist, and he'd been frozen. And we were going on the air in an hour, and I think he texted and said, "Hey, I got frozen, guys. I don't know if I'll be able to talk or whatever. I think it's okay, though." And I come in and I'm like, "Eric, so are you good?" And he's like, "Yes, I think we'll be okay." And I'm like, "You cannot go on television like this."
Not good.
And he just couldn't go.
Not good.
Because it was comical.
Yeah.
But was it like a big game, like a big
No,
moment?
it was just your typical Friday night football or whatever, and his mouth was frozen. Maybe he came on in the second half. I don't remember. But you couldn't not burst out laughing. I can't do the imitation well. But it was just, the frozen mouth syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a requisite to be a broadcaster.
Yeah.
To be able to speak.
To be able to speak.
Use your mouth.
Well, I
Yes.
had, what do you call those things? Invisalign?
Yeah.
So I had that instead of braces as an adult.
You kept them on while you were broadcasting.
Well, at the beginning I did. Darren Pang was the guy who talked me into them because he had them and he would wear them on air. But he warned me that it changes your teeth, so if for a while you have certain letters you have trouble with. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to wear them on there, but I couldn't do it. So I would have literally popped them out 30 seconds before the show and then popped them in, when we weren't on.
Right.
And then you get lazy with the Invisalign and you only wear them at night and things like that. But it did. I have to learn to speak a little bit again because I was screwing up some of my letters. So
well, what a preparation for
Why
tonight.
don't you do a show with them out? Like the Drew Doughty look.
Out.
Go Bobby Clark tonight on the panel.
You honestly, you remember the last time before
do.
I had, you can't talk properly. And you sound like a moron.
You can.
I'm not doing a game like that.
I think
I'm not
you need
doing
your
this
teeth.
show or a game with three of my front teeth gone.
I think you gamble, you get through it, you'll be fine.
Couple are coming out, but you'll power through.
I think you power through, and you just make sure that whoever's directing, like solo shots of Cheryl, solo shots of Dregs, Duthie, like you can't be on him longer than like 30
no-
seconds.
Maybe that could be our new quiz thing, though. Like if you lose the quiz, you have to do the next segment with your teeth out or something like that.
I like that.
I wonder
idea.
if Cheryl's got any fakes in there. She probably had
might.
the cage on
They wear
most of the time, but
fakes. Yeah, they wear
she roughed it
cages.
up a lot.
She might. I'll bet you Dregs has a fake tooth.
He got in a lot of scraps and
Oh, barn
He's got
fights.
fake teeth.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Anyway, how are we feeling about tonight? Like we got Leafs Devils. We haven't heard yet who's playing in net. Let's say Hildeby plays, and I think that's probably the better play. What is a more compelling story for you in terms of the way you know this market will react? Hildeby makes 45 stops and wins 2-0 tonight. Shutout, looks unbelievable. Or he gives up 5 goals on 12 shots, has to get pulled, and it's a disaster. Like, which one leads to more Joseph Wall-directed conversation? What are we going to do
Probably the
here?
first one, maybe, I think.
Like, he could push Wall out of the way if he looks great?
I don't think he would right away with one game, but like you say, in this market, maybe people would talk that way. I mean, I haven't heard you guys, like yesterday, like the not trusting Wall, and I get it, but it feels early for me. Like
Game 7, he didn't make it, James.
I know, but we don't know exactly what it was. You're
I mean, that was all that he had to do. Brad
okay.
Treliving, when he talked about him in his presser, he's like, we got to find out a way for this guy to stay healthy. He signs a 3-year extension.
I know, but that doesn't. You can get injured. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think it's early to say that about the guy. That he
Have you not? You've done this
You're
a
basically
lot.
saying he's soft, and he wasn't ready to play Game 7, and now he's not ready to start the season. I know there's athletes you played with. Some guys just get hurt more,
But if that's his reality, that's just a fact.
Okay,
If you're
all of
hurt
us
the time-
watch sports and cover sports on a daily basis, and the one thing I've come to the conclusion on is there's some things that just don't change. If Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to go to a team and feel like he can get the appetite that he doesn't have to try, he's not going to try. And he's going to do it on the next team and the next team. But guy's always hurt. It's not going to change.
Okay, there's a difference between being always hurt and I thought you were implying more of, maybe he wasn't that hurt, but he wasn't ready, wasn't willing to risk it or whatever. I don't think you
Only
can say,
he knows that.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know what his state was for Game 7. I don't think he's done anything in his competitiveness through all the other playoffs and every other regular season game. The guy's dying to play in a Game 7.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I don't know. You may be a little too hard on the guy early. We don't know exactly what he has. I know you want him to be in there, and you gave him the big extension, but it's Game 1 of the season. I'm Mr. Ease up.
You're Mr.
I'm
Optimism,
Mr. Ease up.
and that's great, and I appreciate that.
Get the teeth in tight and just calm down.
I like that. It's a good line. You just had a really good 30-second little conversation, and everything was all good.
Yeah, you
So I think we're
sounded
through.
great.
I think we're through the
Teeth in
forest
tight.
here.
Yeah, sounded good. That could be your new thing.
Hashtag teeth in tight.
It was
Hashtag
form-fitting
teeth
a
in
couple of
tight.
weeks ago, and now it's teeth in tight. Form-fitting
Form-fitting.
and teeth in tight.
Yes, I like that. The road to medium, the road to Polident. we can make something of this, and everyone can get rich and happy.
I should just be lining up
Road to
endorsements.
Polydent.
The road to Polident. I love it tonight on the panel.
Oh, didn't you say in the commercial break that Polydent is for 85-year-olds?
Well, it's a tough buy at the Shoppers Drug Mart. It's like if you're in your 40s, date night. I just got to pop in for some Polydent. We're off to Soto tonight. I'm just going to grab some Polydent first. It's a tough buy. Did you see Sheldon Keefe was very complimentary of the Leafs today? Said he loves what Tree did during the offseason, thinks they're better than ever this year. I think he's played his PR beautifully. For a guy from Toronto that was a Leaf
Only one
coach.
misstep, man. Only one misstep is when he said a bunch of coaches called me and said, "Welcome to the real NHL."
Yeah, that was a mistake.
That was a trash comment.
That was silly on
That's
him to do that.
that's better. That's 10 leagues better than the NHL. What the Leafs do for their players, coaches, travel. That was a garbage comment,
Right.
and I'm sure he would take that one back.
But you're right about the rest. Like from the video that he posted, remember with the lake in the background from Oakville or whatever, just fully, love the opportunity and such to this. And it's going to be weird tonight. Mark Masters has interviewed him in our pregame shows for 5 years, and he'll do it again tonight in our first pregame show of the year, but outside the opposite dressing room, which is interesting.
Yeah, and with Keefe as the Leaf coach, the Leafs always beat Jersey. It seems that way, doesn't it? They're always beat them.
7-3, I believe,
Yeah.
under Sheldon Keefe against the Devils, and now shoes on the other foot.
Now shoes on the other
We'll
foot.
see how it goes.
And Keefe's in a good spot, man. They got good goalies down there. They got a good team. New Jersey's a legit shot for him to do some damage there.
I said it last night. I can't remember a coach getting fired, a coach who was coming off of his first job. Because usually your first job, you get fired, and maybe you got to go back and be an assistant or whatever, right? Or maybe it takes 2 years to follow and do. How many days after he was fired was he hired?
Less than a week.
3 or 4.
Yeah,
So
less
3
than a
days
week.
hired, you go to a team that is maybe probably one of the most up-and-coming teams in the NHL that was only missing one thing last year, a goalie, and now you go out and get one of the better goalies in the NHL. That is, you could not have slid out of something into something better.
And usually
as
it's
a head
the
coach.
overhype. It's like, oh, that guy was the coach of the Leafs. He just disappears for a while. Good for him.
Yeah, it is.
And he's a good coach.
Yeah, he is a good coach,
Yeah.
and he handled it. He during the regular season they were great. They were a great team, and I expect they'll be very good during the regular season with Berube, and we'll see what happens come playoff time. The other Canadian. Now you're Mr. Optimism, so do you look at last night as Habs, Jets, Flames? Wow, that's great. Or Leafs,
No.
Oilers, Canucks?
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
I know.
last
I'm
night?
not that much Mr. Optimism. It's a way sexier story on the other side of things.
Yeah, Edmonton getting spanked again.
particularly Edmonton, which there has to be a little bit of not again after the start of last year. I don't think that would happen if they just lost the game, but when you lose a game that way and Skinner looks so bad, there has to be a little bit of way more concern in Edmonton than Toronto
What the hell
last
are you
night.
talking about?
Yes.
We just did a preview
Big
show,
time.
and everyone picked the Edmonton Oilers to
I
win the
know.
Stanley Cup, and
I
now
know.
all of a sudden we're going to be panicking?
And I'm not. I have a rule called no premature evaluation for like 7 games, I say. I think I used to be 10. I've lowered it to 7 because I realize it's impossible not to make conclusions.
Okay.
But no premature evaluation until 7 games. However, simply just because of the way the Oilers lost and what happened to the Oilers last year, all I'm saying is there might be a little more angst. There shouldn't be angst in Toronto
I don't think they had a
after
good
last
training
No, there
camp
isn't.
either.
No, they didn't look good.
They did not. They did not look good in the games. It looked like a cup hangover without a Stanley Cup.
It's funny,
Like,
though.
that's the thing. It was a cup hangover without a cup.
As much as I say don't overreact, did you not feel a little... You didn't pick them. You picked Florida, right? Every one of our panelists in the previous show picked Edmonton.
Everybody.
And I woke up feeling a little bit dumb after one game, which is stupid. But I did wake up like, how did we just all like basically said...
Well, I mean, listen, their defense is a concern.
Yes.
Like and last night, like Bouchard fumbled the puck early. Shifley was in alone, and actually Skinner made a great stop. It could have been ugly.
They'll be fine.
Even they will be fine. They're going to make the playoffs.
But that's not a good way to lose.
It's
your first game.
No, like
I
they
don't think
lost.
McDavid had a shot on goal last night either.
That's the
That's
thing.
not going to
like,
happen a lot of nights.
He'll be fine. He's going to win the Art Ross and all that. Like that, all this kind of stuff. We've learned from that, and I think that's why a part of it makes me kind of just go, whatever. They literally did that last year. They got pumped in game 1. For me, Vancouver was worse because they were up 3-0, then 4-1. Calgary's not a great team. Winnipeg's a better team than Calgary, and like the Demko absence is so significant out there, and she loves like some of that Uyghur goal that tied it last night. Like that just cannot go in, man. Like he took 2 steps to the center of the ice and flung one on net. These are all on the outside. Like Shelovs has got to make stops.
He looked,
Yeah,
you know
tough.
how like he looked really small.
Like
And
that Prospacil, that's
That's a flick
not
shot.
Jerry Jagger in his prime.
No,
Like,
that can't.
got to
go
make
in.
a save.
And this is the Uyghur time goal. That can't go in.
No league.
Yeah.
Not in any league.
That cannot go in. So, again, one game, and Shelovs was great when he stepped in for Demko, but Demko's not coming back tomorrow night. Right? I mean, it seems like that one is more significant what happened for me in Vancouver
Well,
last night.
what also was concerning in that game, and I stayed up, I watched it, was Pettersson didn't look good either. And that was a big issue last year, was he completely faded toward the end of the season for Vancouver and was invisible in the playoffs. And you would hope that he would want to get off to a good start to begin the year. He didn't look great last night.
No dice.
Yeah, one game.
One game, House brother. We're not going
but
to get carried
it didn't
away.
look good.
So I would just say, okay, you're ranking Vancouver worse because of the goaltending. I would just say like the worst losses. Edmonton was number 1 last night. Vancouver was number 2. But as maybe more longer-term concerns for Vancouver because of the goaltending
Yes.
situation. Toronto was a distant third.
They played
as
well
far
last
as
night.
they played well. Crossbars, posts. Montebo was awesome.
I think they scored tonight.
Yeah, they'll
Well, they haven't been shut out in like years, man.
252, 3 games?
Yeah, 252
November
games.
20th, 2021 or
That's an absurd
In
streak.
I don't think
midst
it's
of
too
COVID.
early Monday to bring out the coach happiness meter.
I think it arrives on Monday morning.
I'm telling you,
Monday-
there'll be somebody that's absolutely just pissed off.
I agree.
It's crazy how amazing the NHL is. Planes, hotels, and then 2 losses, and everything sucks.
Well, how did Bednar
Brutal.
felt
It's
last
so
night?
bad.
Yeah.
Bednar, what was it, 8-4?
Well, look at Colorado. Someone posted it online last night. They're like, you get past the top line with Rantanen, who had a hat trick last night, McKinnon. It gets thin quickly without Landeskog and without Nichushkin. Like, it's not a deep team up front.
And when is Georgiev's equipment going to arrive?
Well,
in
and that's
Colorado?
another thing, right? Like, it's again early. It's only one game, but good for Vegas.
I
Big
honestly
start.
think
Big start for
fans,
the Rangers.
people that do what we do, we love panicking after one game.
I
I kind
love
of do.
it.
I do.
I find it very
That's what
refreshing.
radio is.
So do I.
Very
man.
refreshing.
Fun.
Yeah, because what you can do is you can quickly get to a point where, like, we'll use the Leafs as an example. You lose tonight, you're coming home for the home opener, and you're
Listen to
staring.
this guy.
You're staring at 0-3 with a goaltending issue.
Yeah?
Like, that's how quickly it can happen. You can be 36 hours into your season and say, we're 0-2 flying home opener, Sid's waiting for us. Pitt gets you on Saturday. Dubas is fist pumping up
Dude, the
there. What
Buffalo
happens?
Sabres flew to Prague and people ripped them off after 48 hours.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
the
but
Leafs
They're
are
missing the play.
Hold on.
They're
Leafs-
written off after 48 hours.
That's right.
The one level of concern you missed was Pittsburgh last night.
They were harassed.
That was
bad.
awful.
That's true.
And so when you say Sid waiting, it doesn't have the same oomph
Yes.
that maybe it did 3 or 4
It's
years
not
ago.
2000.
And you know
9
what?
anymore.
The new contract, I thought it was going to shut you up and keep you off of Sports Center saying Sid to Colorado, here we go. If they keep getting dummy like this is after
Get him
one
out.
game we're talking like
Get
this.
him out.
Get him out.
I
Start
want-
it up again on Sports Center.
I want him to demand a trade on the flight to Toronto tonight. Walk up to Dubas like Patrick Waugh back in the day and demand out. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, look at that second line in
Look at that
Colorado.
team.
Who is Nikolai
Ivan's on the
Kovalenko?
fourth line. Who's Ivan?
First player, I think it's Ivan,
Yeah.
but it's the first player in NHL history to have the same first name as last name.
2 first names.
Yeah.
Remember him from the World
former World
Juniors.
Junior guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Middlestad's good. Ross Colton's a decent player.
Yeah, but you go,
And
the back end's pretty good.
Miles Wood can skate. Like it's just like you get past that top line, and that's not screaming Stanley Cup in Colorado right now.
No.
No, it's not.
There's a lot of that in the league, though.
It's-
If you put up these things in the league and you get down to the
Absolutely.
third and fourth lines, there's
Yep.
a lot of that.
We'll get you out of here on the other game on TSN tonight. Your Niners, you talk about panic, man. If Shanahan flies back to San Francisco and they're 2-4, what is going on
There's
in your
something.
mind?
There's something wrong there. There's something off. Besides all the injuries, there's something more. Do you know that they had in the Rams game and the Cardinals game a 95+% winning chance?
We do that a lot on this show.
halfway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They're the first team in NFL history to lose 2 games in an entire season when they had a 95+% chance of winning midway through the fourth quarter.
Shanahan
Back to
loves a fourth quarter debacle, doesn't he?
Meltdown, man.
There's no more brilliant coach. Like, and he is, I think he deserves the accolades.
He's
that
a
he's
great
brilliant.
coach.
But when you're a fan of the team, you look at it differently. Who can somehow botch play calling down the stretch sometimes by overthinking things, and that's what I think he does. So,
Yeah.
and their defense is overrated. That's my only analysis on that.
That's a big comment on the way out. Overrated defense.
Yes.
That's what they're known for, first
Give
and
up
foremost.
tons of yards on third down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get Seattle tonight. Like they're injury riddled. They haven't looked good. Danny Dimes torched them last week.
The only thing that saves the Niners is that division's not
Exactly.
not great. So
Yeah.
they could win that division, 9 and whatever, or 10 and
10-7
10 and
wins that
7,
for
yeah.
sure. I agree
Yeah.
with you. And if they win tonight, everything flips. You're like, all right, you got to win in the division. Short week. It's all good. All right, JD. Good luck tonight, man. I'm looking forward
first
to seeing
game of
it.
the year. Hope the teeth stay intact, and
Yeah.
that's what everybody's watching for.
What do you
right?
guys got in store
What do you
tonight?
think is the
quiz
priority for
and-
Leaf fans? Goaltending, O-Dog's teeth, Matthews' first goal. In what order do you think are the 3 priorities of what fans are watching for?
Teeth,
Shut up.
Teeth,
net,
net, Matthews.
34.
Teeth, net, Matthews.
teeth, net.
That's fair.
Goal.
I think that's fair.
That
Thank you
would
for
be
having me
my
on your
guess.
program.
You're welcome. Thanks for doing this. We appreciate it. There's James Duthie hosting the panel tonight, night 1 of many. And Leafs Devils on TSN 4 and on TSN Radio tonight. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Luke Wilson coming up in about 45 minutes on the Thursday nighter tonight. Pierre LeBrun will join us coming up as well. Leafs Devils tonight. And what a night it was last night. The Mets winning, man. There you go. The Mets knocking out the Phillies.
I owe you 500.
That's right. One of those teams. And the Yankees got a big win last night. Bob Costas is taking so much heat for his calls.
Dude.
Like he is getting crushed.
As soon as there's a homer, I just start sniffing around his name on Twitter. There was one, it wasn't last night. It was a couple nights before. He was like, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And people were losing their mind on Bobby.
Well, like Stanton hit that double that got them on the board last night. And listen, Bob Costas is such a legend. He's such a brilliant broadcaster.
But he's got to know himself. He's not cut out. He doesn't have the
doesn't
chops
do
for that
play-by-play
right- No.
anymore. Like it's just not his thing. It's the Yankee broadcast. Like
Playoffs.
Playoffs. Yankee fans. There's like 30 million of them in the States.
Why don't they get Michael Kay to do it?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. Kay does stuff with Yes Network and ESPN. This is TBS that has the rights.
So what? It's
The
the,
rights
Yankees.
thing.
It's his team. Like,
Bob,
let
but-
him do it.
But if you're a Royals fan, you don't want to hear Michael Kay.
Yankees.
That is
Yeah. You
very
can't-
valid point.
It's got to be an objective call. But the Royals are up against it now, man. The Yankees are in the driver's seat, and the Dodgers won big last night, so that's going back to Dodger Stadium for Game 5. And It's a lot going on.
What a ride it's been for the Mets, though. It's like every single win has just like a defining play, defining moment. Where it was like Pete Alonso, a couple big home runs. I mean, the only runs they scored last night, but it came off a grand slam.
Well, that's all you need, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like what a scene in New York. Like if the Mets, like now they're in the conference, they're in the NLCS.
Yes.
If the Yankees punch a ticket, like the idea of the Yankees and the Mets, it just gives me so much like envy.
You want that?
Jealousy.
You want Yankees Mets?
Well, what I'm saying is from a local standpoint, like the idea of two hockey teams here, and it's like the Leafs and the other team are in the playoffs and going on a run. Like how electric a city would be with that kind of atmosphere. And then on top of it, you get the Jets debacle, and you see the new head coach told Nathaniel Hackett, "You're not calling plays anymore."
What? You got to fire him if you're going to do that.
But that's what I read, and I don't know if this is true. Is basically the guy said like you can leave if you want. And Hackett's like, "Nah, I'll stick around. Why not? I got nothing better to do." Yeah, I'll just check in and see what's going on. Like, why not just let him go?
Well,
just get him out.
Remember what I said about
undisclosed
things
role.
not. Remember what I said about things not changing? If he was a donkey in Denver, why would he all of a sudden go to New York? Was he just there to get Rodgers to come there?
Well,
him
he
and
was good
Rodgers
with
are really
Rodgers
close.
in Green Bay.
That's why he's not going anywhere. This is again Aaron Rodgers, and he went on McAfee yesterday and was appalled by anyone suggesting he had something to do with Robert Saleh being fired.
Really appalled?
And no one's believing him. And this is more evident, I think, that Rodgers probably stepped in and made a call and said, "Listen, I get it. You got to make some changes. We got to start winning some ball games." But Hackett stays. Hackett's my guy. We do coffees in the morning. We watch tape. Like
But it looks worse.
He runs the whole operation there, Aaron
It looks
Rodgers.
so
And he hasn't
much
won
worse,
a thing
though.
for them. Of course it does. But that's the Jets. It's dysfunctional. Again, Robert Saleh, not a great coach, but 2-3, you fire the guy. No one gets fired 5 weeks into a
That's
season
what
in the NFL. It
happens
never happens.
when you get an organization that has just had failure after failure, and they're so desperate, and they want to hitch their wagon to Aaron Rodgers, who through the years has been unbelievable. 2-time MVP, Super Bowl champion. But when you get, like, imagine if they had truth serum conversation with the Packers and said, "What do you think if we brought Aaron here and gave him the keys to the car to everything?" They would probably laugh in your face and say, "Are you guys insane?" You know what I mean? And that's what they did. Like, they're just so desperate because they don't have the proper structure in place to begin with. They just wanted it all to have for
Like
Aaron
Cleveland.
Rodgers.
It's like Cleveland, man. They tried to cut in front of the line. Like that you didn't have everything in order. You don't have an offensive line. You don't have the right coaches. You don't have the right
They
system.
cut in front of the line, man.
Cut in front of the line and said, we'll pay whatever we got to pay to get that one guy, and that one guy's going to change everything. And Deshaun Watson has been a disaster in Cleveland. Rodgers is clearly a different story. He's not Deshaun Watson. But you mix in an Achilles injury and a year older.
Throwing 3 picks.
I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't see the Jets making the playoffs. Like, I don't see how it's going to get magically better now. And that division's not great. I don't think Miami's going to figure it out without Tua. The Pats are going the other way. The Bills have to snap out of this stupor they're in right now. But let's say the Bills win the division, the Chiefs win the West, Ravens win the North, and Houston wins the South. 3 more teams are going to make the playoffs. I think the Chargers are going to make before them.
The AFC's kind of junk.
It is
like
junk.
I'm looking at it right now. Like who
do you think makes the playoffs? Who do you think has a better chance of making the playoffs? The New York Jets or the Cincinnati Bengals?
it's so like the Bengals have been so bad, but I probably would go Bengals, which is sad because they won one.
They're 1-4.
Game. They're 1-4.
But I would too, because I feel like they have a semblance of consistency and an identity, and I trust Burrow more than I trust Rodgers. Burrow has actually looked very good at times.
They look great.
They can't defend. They can't stop
I'm not going
anything.
to go off of my statement of I think that's a volcano. Like, I think it could get worse.
Yes.
I think it could get
Jets.
dumber and uglier and
more controversial.
Hell
and
yeah.
stuff leaking out. Like,
Well-
you wouldn't believe what Rodgers is doing around here. Like, that kind of stuff's coming, man.
Yeah.
Like, they start losing. That's when guys start talking to me. Hey, come over here. I got to tell you something. You wouldn't believe what this guy's up to behind the scenes.
I'll
we
be
had
curious.
a day off, or we had a mandatory work day, and guess what this guy did?
This guy pulled the pin and was doing something.
Those are
else,
coming,
and
man. Those are coming.
I love it.
Well, does he scheme up a way to get his boy Adams in there? And then
What's the
at
point,
that
though?
point, like Wow, you bring in a dominant receiver, I guess is the point.
Well, you
but-
talked about cutting in front of the line. You might as well go all in on doing that.
Yeah, you might as well. I don't understand. Like, at this point, if you are already deciding you're firing your head coach because he's underperforming, this is a team that needs to make to the playoffs. You had the president come out, the owner, and say, this team is way too good. Okay, well, then make a move. Go out and get the top dog receiver who's available, who ideally wants to play with Rodgers. It sounds like he'd love to play with Aaron Rodgers.
But why would Adams want the Jets? That's what I don't understand. I get it because of Rodgers. He loves Rodgers. That said, he could have Rodgers in Green Bay. He wanted out of Green Bay because he wanted Derek Carr and he wanted the money. Why would you, if you have the opportunity to go somewhere, possibly pick the New York Jets? Outside of that Rodgers connection, which I get. But if you're Adams, don't you want to win something? Like, if Pittsburgh calls you, and that's not ideal, it's not great. I don't know what your numbers are going to look like. But I believe in Tomlin and the Steelers way more than I believe in the Jets.
You do?
Absolutely.
No, I don't.
You think the Jets are better than Pittsburgh?
I think
You
the
trust
Jets are
Jeff
a better team.
Ulbrich or whatever over Mike Tomlin?
No, I don't. No, but
that factors
the
in,
roster
House
is
brother.
way more talented. It's not
Are
even.
they? How are they way more talented?
They got a way better quarterback for one. Let's start there. That's the most important position.
I'll give you that, but not. He's got to start playing a lot better.
For sure, he does. At least they've got a couple of wideouts. Garrett Wilson's a very good player. They got Mike
Is he
Williams.
that much better than George Pickens? Like, why has Wilson just been crowned as this like all-time great Megatron Jerry Rice type?
Because it's New York.
Wow.
Exactly. How is he that much better? Breece Hall's been terrible this year. Hasn't done anything.
He has been. He's got to work it out. They got to fix that offensive line. That's
what I'm
it was a
saying,
problem
House
last
brother.
year, and it's a problem again this year.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, more on that in the next hour. We'll see what Luke can say about it. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.